out on any cool resources. One of the resources that Kelly with the NSBDC really talked about was that she's available at no cost for consultations with businesses to support them in their growth, and that they have some online tools that businesses can use, like getting listed in the Made in Nevada, Grown in Nevada directories, which is really good for your website search engine optimization. And there's no cost to doing it. It just gets your name in front of more people. And that she could help you set up an online store for your business if you were interested at no cost. So she has like an online kind of Etsy store that she lets Nevada products be sold in, and she doesn't charge them anything. Screen with y'all. I have this window that has a bunch of tabs on it. I peeked at our schedule, so that's that tab. So when I saw you guys last, it was kind of a web and social media marketing refresher, going over some of the best practices and tips and tricks and things that we talked about last year, checking in on our progress with implementing them, and then looking ahead for next year, seeing if we could improve our marketing plan in any way, troubleshoot it in any way, and see if we could build in resources that just help us. Now we're in the marathon phase of web and social media marketing. See if we can build up those resources that make that marathon more palatable, like our aid stations, our snacks, our drinks, our pacers. So that way we have support in continuing on this process that's just never going to end. It's always going to be there. It's like laundry and dishes. It's always going to be there.
Yeah.
And I wanted to show you guys how the university has structured our resources. Because I told you you guys need resources, but I didn't give you any like examples of what those resources could look like. So I figured I'd show you all our stuff. Nothing's like confidential or scandalous. There's no harm in you guys seeing it. And then you can see an example of what having those like long-term, year-long calendars and plans and schedules and tools, like what that could look like for you. You can adapt and take what works and apply it to your businesses, your farms, your markets, but at least you could see an example of how somebody who does this all day, every day for a living is working, and how the university is working. First thing that they have is an editorial calendar. The editorial calendar is a list of state and federal holidays, university milestones, birthdays, hashtag holidays, and other observances that are out there. And there are a ton of those types of things out there. But these ones are just the ones that the university has gone through and selected for strategic reasons. So they've selected these ones because the topics are consistent with the university's mission, vision, value, goals, value proposition, 5-year strategic plan. And these ones are on topics that they have experts to speak on. So to get on this list as a holiday or as an observance for the university, it has to be something that aligns with their long-term goals and who they are, but also has to be appropriate for them to be producing content on it. So for February, they have American Heart Month, Black History Month, and National Library Lovers Month as 3 observances that they would like people at the university working in marketing and communications roles to produce web and social media content about. And it makes sense, right? We've got the School of Medicine, we've got health researchers, we've got nutrition researchers that can speak to heart health. And we've got PhDs in history in the history department that have expertise in history and in Black history. We've got extensive libraries with amazing resources that are available to support our students and the community. So all these topics are appropriate for us to have on our editorial calendar. But thinking about building an editorial calendar for a farmer's market or a farm, these might not be the topics that you guys would pick. But I did find that Ag Daily has put together a list of holidays and observances broken down by month that are already on food and ag topics. So when you guys are building out your editorial calendar for the year, you could look through and see which ones make sense for you guys to put on there. And the university is this huge organization with a lot of people in it who can help produce this content. And they only have 3 topics for February. So when you look at that list of ag topics, don't feel like you have to cover them all and spread yourselves too thin. Feel free to really narrow it down to the things that are going to advance your goals that you have expertise in to share. Look at how far the university narrowed it down, and they are, they outnumber you, right? They have a larger budget than you do. So feel free to go small as you build out your editorial calendar. And then the editorial calendar is just guidelines. It's not rules. So if a topic comes up that is not on this list, that is appropriate for us to be speaking about, that we have expertise in, that's timely in the news. Like we've been talking a lot about eggs lately and milk lately, and those aren't on this list. That is okay. It's okay as things come up to be flexible. This editorial calendar is just a rough guide. And as a rough guide, if we don't get a post on our website or on social media about American Heart Month, nothing bad's going to happen. Nobody's going to chase us down and tell us we failed today. These are just like a rough guideline with the editorial calendar. Then we also have like a team calendar, where we use that editorial calendar to give us ideas for producing content. But then on the team calendar, we put, all right, this idea, we're actually going to do this one, right? It's not just a brainstorm, we're going to do it. We pick a date that we're going to do it. We assign it to somebody. We give little tags for how it's going to be done, whether we're going to do it as a media release, a media advisory, a blog, a guest article, a social media story, and we assign it to somebody. So you can see, like for the Living with Fire article, it was going to go out as a media release, and it was going to get posted to our website, and Claudine and Emma were going to be responsible for it. And by having this calendar, like Claudine can delegate to Emma to write stories, and Dylan can delegate to me to post them to social media, or Emma and I can put things on there that we are working on to keep Claudine and Dylan informed. And then we can tell if any one person is getting overloaded, because if I've got 10 stories this month and it's also my busiest month for other reasons, then I'm either going to get like overloaded and burned out, or I'm going to drop some balls, and neither of those things are good for the team. So then we can see each other's workload and help each other out. The other thing that's really helpful in this calendar is we can see if we're double booking our audience. So if I'm putting out a media release for, let's see, the Small Farms Conference, that was a media release. If somebody else wanted to put out a media release on that same day to similar reporters, like where's another one, that the Bee and Garden Conference, if we had those two media releases going out on the same day, the same reporters, the same news outlets, the same attendees, we'd be double booking our audience. We'd be fighting against each other for promotion. So our promotion efforts would be less effective, but we can schedule them further apart. So that way the media can do this story and then later do another one. That way we get double the promotion instead of half the promotion. And thinking about you guys, this impacts you more than it does some of the other farmers market groups that we talk to, because you guys are the most collaborative. So if you're putting out a media release that the farmers market is opening, but one of the farms is also putting out a media release that with the market opening, they're going to be there. That's two media releases going out at the same time to the same audience, and it could have conflicting messages. It could divide their attention. The media could pick up one or the other or neither as a result. And if you guys have a team calendar with those sorts of things on it, you can collaborate on those. Now, I know in other parts of the state, they're not working the same way you guys are, but that's just a consideration that I was thinking that would uniquely apply to you. The other thing that's really helpful about having the calendar is that for posts like President's Day, I can come on and see that Dylan is going to be doing a post on President's Day for the university's socials. And then I, as the College of Ag socials and as Extension socials, I don't have to create those two President's Day posts. I could just share Dylan's post. So my workload gets easier because I'm not duplicating Dylan's efforts, because I can see what Dylan's efforts are. And if I'm posting about President's Day to my socials as, Cabner, the College of Ag, it doesn't make as much sense for Dylan to share that post to the university's socials as it does if Dylan originates the post to the university socials, and then I share that to the College of Ag socials and extensions. And then applying that to you guys, if you guys have a hashtag holiday that you put on your editorial calendar that you want to cover, National Cabbage Day, if the market makes the post, then all the market vendors and the farms in the area that grow that can share that to their socials. So sometimes on the calendar, it helps to think through for cross-pollination, which account would it make sense to have as the originating account and which accounts can share it. And then we're all not duplicating each other's work and we're taking things off of each other's plates because we're all in this together. To support all of this content that we're producing, we have amassed a treasure like a dragon, a treasure trove of resources. We have a Nevada box where we put photos and videos and icons and illustrations and just all of the visual elements that we would need to make a website update, to attach a photo with a media release, to post about a hashtag holiday on social media, so that the burden of creating that website update, that social media post or that media release doesn't include holding a photo shoot or running out and capturing video real quick, because that just makes the task more impossible. And if we have a library to pull from, everything goes faster and easier. In this library, everyone in a marketing role in the college has access to contribute all of the photos they take at all of the locations across the state in all areas that we cover. And every one of us can then go in and use each other's stuff. We don't have to email around asking for pictures. We don't have to ask permission. These are all fair game if they are in this folder. And then we also set up an upload link right here, this file request upload link, so that anybody who is not in a marketing communications role can still upload photos, even though they're not the account owner here. So the Master Gardener program can update, they can upload photos of their volunteers working in the garden. So then we can use those photos that they've already taken. We don't have to go take new photos of the garden. And then they get more promotion for their program than they would otherwise. So both of us win. And this is something that you guys can look at in your areas too, because it's good to have a photo library for you as the market and for you as the farm, or for you as the farm vendor. But since you guys work so closely together, you can set up a way where there's a market photo library, but all of the farmers and the farm vendors in the area, the food producers, the crafters, everybody who's selling at the market can upload their photos, so that when the market's website or social media channels or media releases get updated or go out, you're not asking in that moment for photos or having to go out and take those photos in that moment, because you have an army of photos at your fingertips ready to be used. Occasionally, we do though run into a time where we're looking at the photos and we're like, all right, I want something in agriculture. I want something out at DFI. And we're just thinking, none of these really work for our particular media release. Occasionally that does happen. If we have the time and the budget, maybe we hire a photographer. If we have the time but no budget, maybe we go out and take the photos ourselves. But another thing that you can do in your resources that you put together to really support your website and social media marketing efforts is have a list of places that you can source photos from that doesn't cost you anything, just in case you run into that instance where you or your market vendors, like, you just don't have an image. This one is called Pixabay. There's a lot of others: Unsplash, Morguefile, Pexels. They're all free stock photography websites that do not cost you any money to pull from. Another resource that we use for photography that isn't our own is pulling from government agencies' Flickr accounts. When government agencies take photos on work time with work devices, that's all taxpayer funded. So those photos, those videos, they're not copyrighted the way that they would be if a private business took them or a private photographer took them, and we can use them. So I look at the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Flickr. I look at the Nevada Department of Agriculture's Flickr. I'll look at the Department of Ags in other states with similar growing conditions. Parts of Utah, parts of Colorado grow the same way we do. and have similar crops and obstacles in growing that we do. So I can pull other like high desert climate agency photos to get agriculture photos that are accurate and useful and, you know, trusted, like they're well labeled with what plant that was and can be believed. And they're not copyrighted and I didn't have to pay for them. Bureau of Land Management has good photos. We use those a lot for like fire situations or wild horses situations when we're talking about those topics. But think about all the different government agencies that have ever had grant programs or classes or resources or fact sheets to support agriculture, farmers, small businesses. Any of those agencies, they probably have an online photo library that you can pull from, and it doesn't cost you anything to use their photos. Occasionally, the photo won't have been taken by an employee. And when that happens, they'll put a note. It's down here in this area. When that happens, they'll put a note of the professional photographer who took it. And when you see those notes, you can still use the photo. You just have to give that professional photographer a photo credit, which is easy peasy. So that's another way that you can get photo resources, especially when you are just barely starting to put together your photo video library for your digital marketing. It can seem like, well, I don't have very many photos to contribute. I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but that's okay, because you can go to Pexels, Pixabay, Unsplash, Morguefile, sites like that for free photos, and you can pull from agency websites for free photos as well. This includes the university. So the university has a Flickr account you can pull from. You can pull from the university's websites and its social channels. But there's just a ton of resources out there to help you in building out your library. The other resource in building out your library is your own social channels. So if you go to your market or farm's Facebook page and hit the search button, you can put in there whatever hashtag, holiday, or observance that you are needing to create a post for according to your editorial calendar, and just see if you have posted about it in the past. And if you have, there you go. You already have an on-brand graphic that you can reshare for this year, and you've already have language that you can pull from for this year, and you can copy and paste and use as is. People are not going to remember what you did last year for the hashtag holiday unless you did something really scandalous. They're just not going to remember. But even if you don't use it word for word, you could just refresh it a little. And sometimes starting from a post and just refreshing it or improving it is easier and faster than trying to start from scratch. You don't have to worry about like writer's block or how to word it properly. You can switch it to most recent if you have like years and years of that same hashtag holiday, just to see what you did lately. We did one for Thanksgiving one time where we said, did you eat today? You know, thank a farmer. And that can be reused, not just for Thanksgiving, but for other food holidays, right? And we've already got the photo, the caption, the hashtags, the app mentions the text, and we can repurpose that. What we have done internally is we have a Word document that we have already gone through and searched all of our accounts and copied and pasted these things, so that when we pull up that Word doc, we see 5 different ways to celebrate Thanksgiving, and we can rotate through to keep those things fresh. But when you're first building out your post library, and I talked about that in the training, I was like, hey, get a bank of messages. It sounds really intimidating to get a whole bank of messages from scratch, but you probably have a lot of them that you can copy and paste. And feel free to steal any of the ones that you see on the College of Ag socials or on Extension socials. It doesn't bother me any. And like I said, those photos, they tend to be fair game photos. They don't tend to be ones that are like, we hired a professional photographer and the copyright remained with that person. So you can search the market socials. You can search the market vendors socials. You can search our socials, the agency socials, to build up your bank of messages that you can use to refresh your web and social media marketing without having to like write all of that bank of messaging from scratch. If you do need to write the bank of messaging from scratch, though, don't worry, because in the link I shared on the training in those handouts, it will walk you through having to do that. But I just wanted you to know that there's that search feature so that you don't have to start from scratch. If you don't have the time or the energy or the resources, it's not a problem. You could just use that search button. And then we talked about this last year, and we actually got into Canva for hands-on last year, but Another resource that we have at the university to support our web and social media marketing is a Canva account. And we set up a design in there that includes our logo and our signature colors, our web colors, so for accent colors, what do we use? And our flyer accent colors, so that when we go in to create a new design in Canva, we can copy and paste the logo, or we can copy and paste the colors, and we're not always having to look up the color codes and type in the hex values for the color codes. It's just already there as a resource for us. So it just saves steps and rework to have that information in one place. And you guys have done a lot of work in Canva, so you are probably pretty far along in this and have that resource set up for you. The other thing we do in Canva is kind of messy. Some people in Canva will make a new design each time they have something to promote. I tend not to do that. I tend to make a design by the size of the design. Like if it's a Facebook cover photo, an event photo, an Instagram, square, portrait, or horizontal, I tend to do it by the size and then just hit duplicate. So we had an Ask the Professor article on our editorial calendar, on our teamwork calendar. And when that article was up on the website, I wanted to promote it on social media. So I put in a photo there of reducing food waste. And it was an Ask the Professor piece, how do I reduce food waste? And then I posted that to social. But we produce a lot of Ask the Professor articles, and I shouldn't have to redesign a graphic from scratch each time. That's just not efficient. So when I have the next Ask the Professor article, I just hit that duplicate button, and then I swap out the photo. So that's like duplicate, swap out the photo. So here's another one. We had an Ask the Professor of how do I tell if the nutrition information that I'm seeing online is something that can be trusted. And so I just duplicate, swap the photo. We had another one of keeping kids hydrated in hot summer days, duplicate, swap the photo. We did a series on introducing our faculty members. And so now whenever I have a new hire, I can just hit duplicate, swap in their headshot and change out their name. Hey, have you met David St. Jules? He's a professor of nutrition, and he helps people live longer, happier, healthier lives. Get in contact with him if you want to learn more about nutrition. And I can do it for every single one of our faculty members without having to start from scratch every time. If I start from scratch every time in Canva and I pull up one of their templates, it's not our brand colors, it's not our brand fonts, and so I'd have to manually change them. But if I do it from a duplicate, just click the duplicate button, then it's already my brand fonts, it's already my brand colors. We're in the news a lot, so I'll do an in the news post whenever an outlet features us, and I just swap out the outlet's name and the kind of coverage it is and a photo from the article, and then I have social media posts that I can link to those news stories. And same thing for events. If we have a new class, every time we have a class, I don't need to reinvent the wheel, I can just duplicate. But I found that if I created new Canva designs for each thing, it wasn't as easy to repurpose. But if I keep it all in one, I can go new class, the science of fermented foods, new class, sports nutrition, and that font, that brand color, that logo, it's all already there. And I don't have to reinvent the wheel each time that there is a new class or each time that we have an event or are in the news. I can just hit duplicate and swap out the accent colors, swap out the background photo, but the brand fonts, the brand colors, the logos, like they're all in there already. And I know you guys are far along in Canvas. You guys probably already have that resource, but that's just a full like 360-degree view of all of the resources that we have set up at the universities to support our web and social media marketing work. The year-long editorial calendar with the hashtag holidays that are relevant to our mission, vision, values, goals, 5-year strategic plan that we have expertise on that it's appropriate for us to speak to. The calendar keeping track of who is on first for which task, who's their backup, who's proofreading, who's posting, who's doing what when. The photo library so that there are visual elements that we can use to refresh our website and social media marketing without having to start from scratch. The list of stock photography websites that we use to support that. the list of agency photography websites that we use to support that, our message bank, which we can mine from our own socials, and then setting up, branded design resources so that when we have a new person to welcome to the team, or when we have a new class to promote, we can duplicate a previous design and just tweak it a little bit versus starting from scratch every time. And with all of that, our social media and website marketing and updates have become a more efficient, streamlined, like faster, easier, less stressful of a process. And it's been really helpful to us. And I want like that for you guys. I want your website and social media marketing to not be stressful, to not be something you dread, to not be something that's pulling you away from all of the very important tasks that you have to do to advance your business's goals. And so hopefully that example helps give you an idea of what to build for when you're building out your web and social media marketing plans and resources to support those plans. Ooh, another fun one that we have is we have in Nevada Box, and we just use Nevada Box for the photos because that was a tool our university already pays for. And so it was free for us to use that tool. You guys can use Google Drive, Flickr, whatever, Google Photos, whatever tool you guys have. So since the university already had that tool, the other thing that we did in there is we created a folder that has all of our usernames and passwords in it. So that way, if I get hit by a bus, right, then the university can still get into the Canva account, the Flickr account, the calendar, the Facebook, the Instagram, and everything, because it's not just on my phone and it's not just in my brain. It's in a place that they can access if I get hit by a bus or if I just rage quit, like flip the table and walk out, right? They don't lose everything. So as you're setting up your social media and website marketing resources, think about housing them in a place that has longevity to it, that's not tied to an individual person in case that person is no longer with the market or is no longer with the vendor, and is not tied to a particular device in case I go whitewater rafting and drown my phone, right? That there is a place that everyone can get to that is safe and secure, but that everybody can get to with those usernames and those passwords, those lists of resources, those message banks. And in ours, we did it in Box because, just like I said, it was a resource that we already had. But you could figure out whatever resource you already have that makes sense for you guys to put yours in. Where did I was looking to see if I could show it to you. It's in here somewhere. Usernames and passwords. We just have a team master planning document in folder in Hive. And so then it's just broken out. Our Blue Sky account, if anybody needs into it, they click there, it shows them username and password. Our Canto, our Canva, our Flickr, our Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, our website logins, our TikTok logins, our Sprout Social logins. And if you look at the team of people that I've shared with this with, it is in a Box account that is tied to the university, not to me as a human. So if I die, if I quit, and my employee login is deactivated by IT, all of the information is not lost because it's not tied to me and my login. And then all of IT has access to it. So as people come onto the team, come off of the team, the IT folks can manage that, and everyone who should have this access will have it at their fingertips, and everybody who should not will not. And then when I need to add and subtract people outside of IT, like here's my boss, Robert, here's Claudine, who does all of our media releases. Here's Doreen, who does extended studies, social media accounts. Here's my boss, Shauna, right? I can add those people and I put them on as co-owners. So yeah, IT is there and the general university account is there for longevity. And then having my coworkers as a co-owner instead of as only an editor or viewer with me as the owner also helps with longevity, because if they are equal to me in permissions, they don't need me to still access these resources. And then if we have like part-time temporary help, I can add them as an editor or a viewer, and then they can get in and out of the accounts that they need to get in and out of, but they don't have full ownership and can't run off with things. And then when I need to update the passwords to accounts as employees turn over or just periodically as part of good security, I can put the latest passwords in this Nevada box, and everyone already has all of the login info available to them. They just go there, it's there. I don't have to email it to them. emailing passwords is not secure. So that would be a bad practice anyway. So we do this digitally because our team is spread out. Some of us are on campus, some of us are off campus, some of us are in random counties, Elko County, Churchill County, Clark County. If we were all in one place, one office, one co-working space, one business, we could have this as like an old-fashioned paper Rolodex on the desk in the office, or a cheat sheet in a binder in the office. It doesn't have to be a digital place that you plan for longevity, but it's still good to plan for longevity. We have at the university lost accounts due to employee turnover, and that we just now don't have somebody on staff who has access to them. And it's really hard to get the social media platforms to give you those back. Sometimes you never get them back. And building this into your website and social media marketing resources can help save you any of that heartache. But yeah, I just wanted to give you guys an example of what building some scaffolding to support your web and social media marketing looks like, to kind of accompany those checklists and handouts that we covered at the in-person training. Because as you're checking off boxes and you're working your way through the worksheets, it's kind of helpful to know, like, why am I doing this? Where am I going? And I talked about some of the why in that, like the best practices and tips for website marketing, but some of the why is also strategic, to like save time, advanced goals, to protect the longevity of your accounts. And sometimes when you're working through the worksheets, you're like, well, what am I going to end up with? What is it going to look like in the end? And this is what it ended up looking like in the end for us. And feel free to take the parts that work, take the parts that don't work, and just repurpose it and make it fit you and your market and your business and your community, your team of people, so that everyone has the support that they need to do the web and social media marketing for your guys' markets, plural. You guys wear so many hats, and your market vendor businesses. Did that make sense? Do you guys have any questions about setting up your resources for web and social media marketing? Sometimes we like stay in our lanes and like stay doing our little pieces of marketing, and then we'll get a team member or somebody coming alongside, and they'll be in their little silo doing their little pieces. Sometimes it helps to have a more global view, or to just show your card, show everybody what you're doing. It doesn't have to be the most perfect plan or resources, just has to be something. And sometimes we just forget to share that information with others. So I just wanted to let it all hang out there and show you guys what I'm up to, what I'm doing, in case any of it is helpful for you. And when other people do that for me, I learn different approaches that I could try, and it's really helpful. And then I'm not like reinventing the wheel that they've already invented. It's something we're really working on our communications team, to just, if we have a tool or a resource or something that's working, to share it with everybody else, even if we think that they probably already know, or that they probably have something else that's working for them, because it's just an opportunity to learn and grow and share. So I'm glad that was helpful to see that. It's just a goal of mine to not keep things so private or personal to me that don't need to be, right? That there's nothing confidential or scandalous, and no competitive advantages of the university that I undermine by letting folks see a real life example. On your phones too, I have an iPhone, might be different if you're an Android user. You can turn on live photos. So even though you end up with a photo in the end, it gives you in your camera roll the couple seconds before the photo and the couple seconds after the photo. So you have short, like 5-second video clips automatically, even if you did only take a still photo. And those are super helpful for building out your photo library. Just thinking about making these as shelf stable, as long lasting as possible, and getting a variety of shots while I'm there doing it anyway. Horizontal, landscape, posed, natural, video, photo, just trying to get everything multi-purpose. It helps too, while you're just torturing those poor little market vendors at their booth, to have them give you those social media video poses, have them stand off to one side of the camera and point to the other side like this, because then you can say, market opens, be there, see my booth, and you can make it say whatever you want. For as long as they're ever a vendor with you, you have a standard already. So just building out those resources. I love that you're thinking about using a Dropbox. I think that would be a good tool. Oh, what were you going to say? Let's see. So I was supposed to give you guys an hour of education, followed by some technical assistance. We're coming into, the hour of education where I just kind of reviewed what we talked about, showed you some different examples of how to achieve the scaffolding to support your website marketing. Just checking in to see how did the checklists and the worksheets